Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the second season of our podcast. I can't say the name in the beginning because YouTube will edit us out. um, today we're today we're talking about boobies. So, if you've ever heard the term "breast is best" and thought to yourself, "Is it really?" Then this episode is for you. Whether you want to roll your eyes at the notion or you're a worshiper at the altar of liquid gold, this episode has something for everyone, including Tough Love with Jer Bear, everybody's favorite segment.
Yes, welcome back, everyone. We're so glad to have you all with us. So excited for this episode.
Sorry we had to miss out last week. We just absolutely could not do it. I was away for my cringe 30th birthday. So yeah, we were driving back from a mini vacation, baby moon birthday, all that. So I'm 30 now, and you can all mourn my youth. Thank you.
You literally look the same.
Well, we'll see once this baby comes. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's talk about the health benefits of breast milk. So it meets all of baby's nutritional needs for quote unquote free. Of course, it doesn't account for the time demands placed on mom. So if mom could be working, but she's being a cow on demand, then it's not technically free, but it is free in the sense that you're not buying formula. It contains IgA, which is an immunoglobulin passed through mucous membranes, so it can go from mom to baby, and it provides some immunity and protection for baby. It also fosters a bond between mom and baby. It can help reduce risk of diarrhea and vomiting, reduce risk of SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, obesity, and cardiovascular disease in adulthood. So there are some really great benefits of breast milk. To gain the potential benefits such as reduced childhood obesity, infections, and reduced allergies, baby needs to be exclusively breastfed for at least 4 months. I cannot stress that enough. So if you cave literally once and give formula, the spell is broken, and you may as well not put so much pressure on yourself anymore. Just do what makes you feel the most comfortable. So that whole reduction in obesity, reduction in allergies thing, there's a lot of evidence behind this. You have to do for 4 months every single day breast milk only. You cannot break it one time. Otherwise, you don't get those allergen benefits. So it's like you may as well just make your life easy. Breastfeeding also has some health benefits for mom, though, like lowering your risk of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, and obesity. In terms of obesity, breastfeeding requires a lot of healthy caloric intake and adequate hydration. So it's normal to feel insatiable if you're actively breastfeeding. A lot of new moms say that. They're just like, I'm not gaining weight, but I'm also eating a ton. I just cannot stop eating. If you're breastfeeding, you're burning tons of calories. Some women do report an increased appetite paired with weight loss, where others report increased appetite and an inability to lose those last 10 to 15 pounds. So everybody's different, and both presentations are normal. So some people will store a little bit of excess fat in order to produce enough breast milk. So your body's purposefully holding on to that last layer of fat because it knows you need it. And this can be really difficult for some women who are used to living in a smaller body. And if breastfeeding is causing you psychological distress, depression, negative thoughts about yourself, then it's not worth it. It's simply not worth it. You cannot be the best parent and the best person for your loved ones if you're silently battling poor self-esteem. So it is absolutely not worth the mental anguish and forcing yourself to breastfeed if you can't show up and be the best version of yourself for you and baby. So if that's the case, just take the stress off. And if formula is an option for you and your baby, try it. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying if you're living life every day, grilling yourself, saying, why can't I do this? Why does it look so easy for everyone else? Try formula 1 or 2 times. If it jives with you and baby, just supplement with formula, okay? Because fed is best.
Absolutely. So it's important to remember, like Bridget just said, fed is best. That's definitely the best. So for me personally, with my first son, Jack, I breastfed him for 5.5, 6 months. I did not produce enough. And that is something that I feel like is not really talked about in society. Like it is once you've given birth and, the nurses and the lactation consultant comes in, that's all you hear about is worrying about that and latching. But before that, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was not prepared for it mentally at all. Honestly, feelings of worthlessness came over me. Like, how can I not feed my own child? Like, this is my one job in life. Like, why am I not good at it? Like, why is because I would try everything that they told me, or even I Googled, I tried. Bridget, you even gave me those special cookies that had oatmeal in them and stuff. It kind of bumped the milk a little bit, but not enough for me to fully just remain on breast milk for him. So with Jack, I had to do both. I did have to supplement formula, which gave me internal feelings of shame and guilt, worthlessness, feeling like, because before I ever had kids, in my mind, I had figured I was going to just do breast milk. If I could do that, why not? Not only would it save me money, but it would make me feel so great about myself because it was a goal of mine to just have them on breast milk only. And so when I failed that goal, my first goal as a mother, it was really, really bad for me mentally. And other people go through that as well. And that's why it's really important to talk about this stuff. It is something that is actually more common than I thought, because other people that were also giving birth maybe a year or two after me, colleagues of mine, with their first child as well, they had issues with breast milk supply. It happens, and it's just something that really no one prepares you for until it happens to yourself. And then you have to deal with watching other mothers who just have an abundance or an overabundance of milk, and it's really frustrating, to be honest. So physical demands obviously huge on the mother. With my second child, I swear, it's just life just keeps getting me. But my second child, I had overproduction of milk, which was great, right? Except red flag. My daughter was allergic to my breast milk, so the whole time that I thought she was just colic because she was a colicky baby born that way, incorrect. I was literally giving her really bad acid reflux from the milk because she couldn't have it. So then I overproduced for no reason, because then I had to go to formula because it was the only thing that made her a normal, happy baby that could sleep and nap without being fussy. So yeah, life never works out in your favor. So just be prepared for that when you're a mom. And that is why fed is best, right? Because you can't prepare for any of that. And it's never the mother's fault, never the baby's fault. You have to overcome, adapt, shift. That's all. That's how we go through life, and that's how we make it through. So let's go through some of the mental health aspects of breastfeeding on the mother. So like I just mentioned, even in my own personal story, physical demands. It's very physically demanding, especially in the early stages when the babies feed frequently and you're getting your milk supply in. So this can lead to exhaustion and affects your mental well-being. That can lead into the emotional impact. Hormonal changes alone during breastfeeding can affect mood. And some mothers experience a surge in oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, which can enhance feelings of closeness and well-being. So sometimes it could be a good emotional impact. However, fluctuations in hormones could also contribute to mood swings, feelings of anxiety, depression in some women. So all of this just to keep in mind. Pressure and guilt. There's often societal pressure on mothers to breastfeed exclusively for certain periods of time, and this will contribute to feelings of guilt or inadequacy, as I mentioned I felt. If, breastfeeding does not go as planned, or there are certain difficulties that you did not prepare for. Isolation. Breastfeeding can sometimes be very isolating, especially if the mother feels she must always be available to feed her baby. This can lead to feelings of loneliness or being overwhelmed. Can even lead to feelings of resentment, because if you are, directly, exclusively breastfeeding from the breast, and you're feeling like your partner is getting off easy pretty much, right? Like you're always doing the feedings, you're always getting up, and he's just doing this or that. And although it's helpful, you feel like you're doing the bulk of the work. So with the hormones and the mood swings, it's easy. It's easy to build resentment. Understandable, especially with a lack of sleep. Bridget did mention and touch on this, but body image. So you're going to experience changes in your body and how you see your body and feel in your body. And that is due to breastfeeding. And this impacts your self-esteem and your mental health overall. I will say, given time, like a year, sometimes even 18 months out, your body should feel normal. Even if you're still up on the scale in weight, your body just feels more you, is the best way I can describe it. And for anyone who's hard on themselves right after giving birth, the best advice I ever got was it took 9 months to grow that big. So be easy on yourself, because, mothers are really, with everything in society today saying bounce back, oh, you're 30 days out, why don't you look like you're smaller? No, it took you 9 months to grow, and really 10 months, because it's a 9 full months. You need that plus some to feel like yourself again. Like, why is it okay to expect that we grow slowly, but we got to bounce back like a rubber band? No, it's just not. That does not make sense, and it's not reality. So we also have challenges and frustrations to breastfeeding. Latch difficulties, pain, low milk supply. This is extremely frustrating and emotionally taxing. So just all things to think about when you're going on this journey into motherhood.
Yeah, a lot of people, I'm just over 33 weeks now. So people are like, oh, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I always thought I would pump. I would try to pump just because at least I'm doing something. I don't know. I figured, hey, I'll give it a go. Maybe if I have the milk anyway, it's something to do. But I would never was like, I need to put pressure on myself to exclusively breastfeed. I just am not that bothered about it, but I'm willing to try. Last week, and I've said this so many times, because if you pump, then at least you can like freeze the milk, refrigerate it. Your partner can get up in the night and help you feed because all you have to do is reheat the breast milk. So it's not
Mhm.
exclusively on you. I've said it to everybody. And Ted last week was like, oh, but you don't want to like nurse at all directly? And I was like, I mean, not really. And he was like, but it would really mean a lot to me, like, because I think it will help you guys bond more. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be on mat leave. Like, this baby and I are going to be like white on rice. Like, I don't think I need any more bonding time with this leech. But, like, if that's what you want me to do, I was like, for you, if it means so much, like, I'll give it a go. But I was like, I'm not going to like stress myself out if it doesn't work and I'm just not good at it. Also, like, I know you guys haven't seen me, like, we're not on video or anything yet, but I don't have very big boobs. So, which means I have pretty small nipples. Like, I do not foresee myself being some like expert breastfeeder. So, I don't
Um,
know. So
well,
I'm just like, I'm not putting any pressure. Like, if it goes, it goes, but I plan to like mostly pump, you know?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
I will say, because I did the exclusively pump route when I was trying to do breast milk, it's actually harder in my experience and the others I've talked to who did what I did. It's actually, I think breastfeeding directly from the breast is easier a little bit. And I don't want to offend anyone, but I mean easier in a sense that you can just pick the baby up, in the mid wee hours and attach. Where with pumping, it's just like I was attached to this machine on a certain level for a certain amount of time, and people were over there and I was isolation, here we go, in a corner, and it was like I can give you the PTSD sound, right? And I was like milking a cow every 2 to 3 hours. I felt like a milk production facility. I
Yeah.
really
I
and
remember that sound still because every time we'd be having a conversation, you'd be hooked up to the pump.
And honestly, Kimmy did both, but even she said, because she did more on the breast than I did. Like I said, I just did exclusive pump. And she was like, it's just so much easier, Marissa. Like, I'm exhausted. I'd rather just get up, put them on my breast. And I'm like, you're right. Honestly, you're right. And it's a me issue because that's what I didn't do it for my own personal reasons. But I was like, it's just, I can't. But the machine is awful. She's right. It's god awful.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm not like gonna go in with any expectation either way. I think that sets yourself up for failure. Like, I don't want to do one or the other. I'm happy. Like, if I have a baby that has more food demands than I can supply, and Jerry's gonna be like, just give him the formula. Fine. Honestly, like, just make the baby go to bed.
When I was using the pump, and Nicole Del Benny, shout out, when she would visit me, she would like have this look of horror, like when you watch a scary movie and someone's getting murdered and cut up into pieces, and I'd be like, what? Why are you staring at my tits, and why do you look so horrified? And she goes, the fact that it's taking your nipple and stretching it so far. She's like, it's scaring me. She was like, are you trying to tell me that my nipples are going to be stretched in that machine? I'm like, I mean, if you do the machine, yeah. Like, yeah.
That it was really hard to get used to, of like watching you. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, they pull him out like a full inch. Like,
It was painful. And with each kid too, you have to like build the calluses up on the breast pump. I mean, honestly, I've never asked any other mothers about this, so maybe I was using the wrong size or whatever. But for each time, I'd have to build up a callus, and so the first 2 to 3 weeks of back on the machine, my nipples would get bloody and like the tips would fall off, and then it would come back, and I'd be fine. And I was using the linoleum and everything. I was properly cleaning the machine, making sure I was moisturized, and I was like, why do my tits always bleed? Like, I hate this. It was very
yeah,
painful.
that does happen though. Yeah, and that's one of the things that like women, they get discouraged by, and they're like, you know what, it's not worth it. It really hurts. It's uncomfortable for me. I will say though that is, even if you, no matter how you breastfeed, pump or nurse directly, part of breastfeeding is like your nipples cracking and bleeding. Like that,
Mhm.
even if you're the best breastfeeder, your baby takes day one, you're making tons of milk, everything's going amazing, you're bonding, you're like, I'm so happy. The first couple of weeks, your boobs are bleeding. That is just part of it. I don't know why.
And they're super sensitive, and your milk production, if it comes in, they're swollen. And what was weird, which I don't know why, but I did kind of find it fun and relieving, but I would enjoy waking up, since I didn't do it through the night. They would be like concrete, like as if I got like quadruple D's overnight from Dr. Miami, and they would be solid concrete. And then it felt so good to relieve it because your first pump, your boobs were squishy again. And I don't know why, but that to me, that feeling is still fun. I don't know why. I was
That
like,
sounds
yes.
very nice.
Oh, it felt amazing. But before the first pump, you were like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed. There's concrete cement blocks on my chest. Oh.
I'm nervous about this. Oh my gosh. So when Marissa just had Jack, we went to Philadelphia to visit our Aunt Irene, and we had like a girls' lunch. Like we were all drinking. We were like drunk at noon. We had like a great time. And Marissa was like, didn't bring her pump. Like she's like, I'm not doing that crap today. And by the time we got back home to our parents in Jersey, like she stopped at our parents, and we were in our like childhood bathroom, and I had to hand express milk out because her boobs were so swollen and engorged. And she's like, I need relief. And she was just like bent over a sink, and I was like hand expressing. And it's just shooting out. And then this is so embarrassing. Like our dad was walking down the hallway and he's like, what's going on in there? And we're like, get out.
That was one for the sister books. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Oh my God. That was before. So with Evelyn, I had the Willow cordless that you could take anywhere. But at that time I didn't. I had the one from the wall. You had to be plugged out to an outlet. So I just didn't take it. And I knew I was drinking anyway. So I was like, it's all bad milk at this point. I'm out of here. Man.
Oh,
That's
I
a good
love
time.
that.
Now that you brought that up, let's talk about that fun time actually. It was a Wednesday afternoon, right? What did the waiter say?
Wednesday afternoon, we were absolutely sloshed at lunch. Obviously, Marissa, because she was like breastfeeding and everything, it was like 2 glasses of wine and she was drunk. And the waiter brought the bill and he was just like, okay, lady, should we just run it back? Like, just do it all again? And we were like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think he even asked us that, right? He was like, ladies, it's a Wednesday afternoon. What's going on? And you were like,
I know.
she's just on maternity leave. She needs to have fun.
Oh, that was such a good lunch. It was right on Rittenhouse Square. Guys, recommend it. Park Rittenhouse Square.
Absolutely.
So this topic reminds me, I just saw, I don't know if anyone else has seen this, and it's probably an old clip because it was from like the Ellen show. Ali Wong, hilarious comedian and mother. She at the time was on the Ellen show, so it's like at least a year old or so. And she was talking about how she had a 3-month-old. She looked incredible, and had a 2-year-old at the time. She was saying that the 2-year-old was getting a bit jealous, as babies do. They get a bit jealous when there's a new baby in town. And she started saying like, Mama, I want to feed from the breast. And then she was like telling Ellen, the sheer fact that you could say that sentence excludes you from being able to breastfeed. Also, your full set of teeth.
I remember that interview and I love her. She's my favorite. So I watch almost everything that, she puts out or does. So, but yeah, that was a good one.
So funny. But yeah, I just figured I would mention her in there because she's such a great like comedian for moms and like mom guilt and everything.
Oh, yes, absolutely. She's just so funny. If you watch any of her things on Netflix, hilarious. All good for maternity leave if you need a good dopamine boost.
I know, but she kind of like makes you scared. Like the first special I ever saw when she just had her first child, and she was like, maternity leave, honestly, like you're like things are dripping, things are bleeding, like your boobs are hanging, and then your friends come over and you're just like, don't look at me. I was like, oh my God, this sounds terrible.
My favorite is when she's talking about that dainty friend she had, but then she opens the door to the cul-de-sac and she's like, look at this shit. Look what this kid did to me. Look at this shit. You look at it.
Like, and she's had 2 C-sections, and like there it's major surgery, and then people are just like, okay, go look after a baby.
I don't know how people like single moms do it because for the 2 weeks I really couldn't get up without the baby being handed to me by John. And honestly, sometimes I was just so mentally exhausted. Or remember when I texted you with Evelyn, I had the low grade fever when I first got home. I had chills. So I was in no shape I was like, I felt sick. So he'd had to do it all, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. Like, you really need a partner who, whether it's your sister, mom, brother, literally anyone in your family or your spouse, you really need someone there when you've had a C-section. Nobody realizes that the recovery is so much slower because we just tear through your insides.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me. I know. I felt it. The healing, the recovery was just very hard. And weirdly, I thought in my mind, like a sicko, it was probably me just being like, oh, it's okay, have another kid. I thought like in my mind it worked like vaginal birth, like, oh, you've done this before, bounce back, boop, 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 boop. No, Marissa, you're still cutting through 7 layers each time, you stupid fool. So in my mind, I thought going in with Evelyn was like, I've cut through these 7 layers before. I'm going to hop up. Yeah, no, no, no. In fact, I felt like it was worse because my skin was like, bitch, you already did this 2 years ago. Are you trying to die? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and they get more complex. Like the more C-sections you have in a row, they get very, very complex because of scar tissue. So it can be
Mm-hmm.
much more painful. The first one's
Mm-hmm.
like a nice freebie.
A freebie. Nice.
Yeah.
I got my punch card. How many can I get? Woo.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So I don't want it to sound like we're anti-breastfeeding because we're definitely not. Obviously,
No.
MRSA did
Oh
it
God, no.
twice. It's
Yeah.
just I just want to make light of it so people understand like it's not
Mhm.
like an end all be all. Like you can
Mhm.
combi feed and your baby will be
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just think for me personally, I wish there was more people who talked about it and was more real and honest. I'm sick of hearing the whole, oh, it's going to be so magical. It's going to be the best bonding experience of your life. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen for some people. Probably. It just didn't happen to me. Doesn't mean I don't look back at my maternity leaves and think blissfully how amazing it was now that I'm out of the thick of it and I forget all the hard times. I'm so grateful, would do it again because I'm insane. But it's just the reality of it for me. It was kind of a shit show. I'm not going to lie. It was a shit show.
Yeah, it's very time consuming and I don't know. It's one of those things where I hate bringing it up with people because people just give you that look and they're like breast is and you're like okay. I don't know. So I just try to like not
Yeah.
even mention it.
I really don't like when they say that because it really makes the people who don't produce enough feel like something's wrong with them. And it's just not fair because you don't have control over that. It's not like if I had changed my eating habits or anything and I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. So it's none of those things either. I wasn't sick or anything. And just think like, what if a mother years ago had hers removed for breast cancer and she's completely in the clear now having kids? How are you going to sit there and say breast milk is best for her? She's clearly not, like, you know what I mean? She's obviously going to use formula. Her breasts are
Yeah,
gone.
or what about adoptive parents?
Mm-hmm. There's that too. Yep. And I just
Yeah.
think as long as you're feeding the kid and you're taking it to the appointments and they're, looking great, they're growing the way they should, then that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. Right. So, this is a little thing that a lot of people don't know is your breast milk changes as baby ages. So, the first few drops you make are called colostrum, and it's often referred to as liquid gold. And even though it looks like a teeny tiny amount, literally tiny little drops that appear at your nipples, it's all a newborn needs because their belly is super, super tiny when they're born. So as baby grows, you adapt and you do produce more breast milk, and the fat levels change, the glucose level change, the protein, it all adjusts to baby's needs. The milk you produce during the first year of life is completely different than the milk you could produce in the second year of baby's life if you continue breastfeeding. However, if you choose to breastfeed beyond 1 year, you have to make sure you're also feeding baby solid food, okay? You can't exclusively
Right.
breastfeed for like 2 years. This is to develop their teeth and their jaw. Mastication is really important. If you allow your child to drink all of their meals, they will have a weak jaw, they'll be lazy, and they'll be picky eaters. Also, they'll develop something called milk anemia. Pediatricians see it all the time. Babies love milk because they're used to it. So they
Mm-hmm.
fill up on it and they eat that instead of lunch and dinner. And you go, well, my baby's growing and they're happy. Yeah, but they're not getting iron. So all of a sudden they'll be really pale and tired. So milk anemia is like super common because parents are just like, well, he likes milk, he fills up on it. They have to eat real food as well. All parents will tell you how frustrating it is when you first introduce foods like chicken. Marissa, I'm sure you remember this. Kids take
Mm-hmm.
forever to eat it. They say they don't like it. They complain a ton. And it's because chewing meat takes a long time and they get bored. It's not that
Yep.
they don't actually like it. They're lazy eaters
Mm-hmm.
because they're new to it. So it's really important to introduce these solids so they develop a palate, they develop jaw strength and patience, and their teeth
Mm-hmm.
get stronger and are used to tearing away at things like meat or harder vegetables. So it's really important. You have to introduce solids, even if you say, I want to breastfeed for many years. I love the feeling. My kid will be 4 years still breastfeeding. Fine. They have to eat solid food.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And don't be hard on yourself if you do all the recommended and your kid is still a picky eater, because that is what happened to me with both kids. And, 0 for 2 here. And what I can say is it gets better. So my first is now, he just turned 5, July 4th, and he is actually now my best eater when originally he was my worst. So it just got to a point where I would say around 3.5, 4, we just started saying like, nope, now you eat what mommy and daddy makes. We don't make you something special, and you will try a different veggie with us, And now he's my best eater at 5. And now we're working on the other one. She's about there because she'll be 3 in October. And that's where we're going to kind of be like, no, no, no. You now eat what we eat. We had given you leniency for all these years, but no more.
Yeah, it's hard because obviously at a certain point you just want them to eat anything. You just don't
Yes.
care. Remember when Jack would only eat the peanut butter sandwiches and it was like, fine, kid, as long as you're eating, because they're
Yep.
just so tiring.
Agreed. Honestly, due to the opposites of their personalities, I feel like Jack was really easy on the transition. I do believe that Evelyn will not make it so easy on us. I think it will be a battle, a lot of eye rolling, a lot of screaming, crying, but it's just like, I can't continue to give in. I don't want to have a 21-year-old only eating peanut butter sandwiches, bananas. I think that's honestly maybe some chicken nuggets here and there. She doesn't eat a lot. She eats yogurts. I'll give her that. She's good with yogurts, her little coconut milk yogurts.
Oh,
That's
I'm
about it.
surprised because when she was a little baby, she was a good eater.
She flipped. It was weird because he was a picky eater, now he's good, and she was a good eater, and now she's so picky, unbelievably picky. It gives me a headache. But I just, I just go through it. You gotta brave through it. But she's a little bit sassy now, as a practically 3-year-old. The problem with her is my first was a people pleaser. So if I ask him to do something, even if I have to say it more than once, he will do it. And because he says, because I love you, mommy. Okay, that's great. Love you too, hon. This one tells me no. And if I try to like come back at her, she'll roll her eyes and like do a smirk. You ever see those? You ever get in a fight with someone and you're so angry, but they're smiling and that makes you angrier? That's my daughter. And I'm like, smile one more time, girlfriend. I swear to God. So yeah, it's a fun time to battle.
I can't wait to witness this. I am flying home 2 weeks from today, and I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fun. It's a fun time. Yep. I tell her to go to timeout. She willingly goes now. She has fun in timeout. So now I'm like, great. Now what do I do? Because she loves timeout. She thinks it's a vacation, a spa vacation, apparently.
She's like, finally, time to myself, losers.
Honestly, like I'll tell her in my mom voice, and she'll go, okay. And if y'all haven't seen me, obviously since there's no camera, I just flipped my hair. She walks right to the timeout chair.
Evelyn, you cutie.
Yeah, you think it's cute until it's your daughter.
All right, everybody, let's get into it. Everyone's favorite segment is Tough Love with Jer Bear. Oh, yeah. Do 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 Jer Bear. Do 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 do. I have the pleasure of seeing Jer Bear in person at the end of this week. I will see her. Oh, when this episode drops, Jerry will be in England with me.
Yes. So on that note, before we start Tough Love with Jer, I want to say next week is a big week for my sister. She's having her English baby shower. So therefore, we will be skipping an episode, but you'll still get content. What we will be doing is I'm going to have someone over there while she's there, little bits and pieces of her English baby shower, and I will kind of put all that together with music and put it on our socials, and you'll be able to see that.
We will leave you with a question. How do you guys feel about breastfeeding? Were you breastfed? Did you breastfeed? Is it something you feel strongly about? And please write back to us about it, and we'll talk about it in the next episode we record.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into this.
Let's do it. So we asked Jerry her opinions about breastfeeding, and we can't wait to share her answers with you guys. So firstly, I'll say none of us were breastfed. I think she attempted a few days at Marissa, she said, but then she had to go back to work. And she tells these tales of like primitive breast pumps from the early 90s, and they just did not allow for freedom of movement like pumps do nowadays. And she was a young business owner at that time, so she literally there was no mat leave. There was like a day, literally squeezed us out and then went right back to work. So she was like, I couldn't be on a breast pump. Those things were like archaic. They were huge. Nothing like you have today. No way. So that we were all formula fed exclusively the whole time.
That's funny. Yeah, but I think it was really popular like in the 90s and maybe
she says it was just because that was kind of like a big turnaround, like the late 80s and the early 90s where like moms worked, whereas before them like it was normal to be a stay-at-home mom. And so she was like, yeah, like formula was available and all her friends had jobs. She had a job. So she was like, you just like formula feed.
It was so common. I remember, I mean, maybe we're weirdos, but we would talk about this as teenagers, me and my friends. And I think majority of my friends were all formula fed. Like, it was common to be like, oh yeah, you were a formula baby too? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and guess what? We're all effing fine, and we're not psychos. We haven't
Well,
killed our parents.
Some of us. Majority of us are good.
I bet you the Menendez brothers were breastfed, okay, everybody? So it's okay. You just do it makes you happy.
Yeah, no. Again, fed is best. Both are work. It doesn't matter.
All right, so Marissa, hit us with the first question.
Jerry was asked, what do you think about breastfeeding versus formula feeding?
In what essence? I think it's a mother's choice, and neither one is better than the other. I prefer formula, more consistent nutrition and less hassle. Easier on the mom. No proof one is better. I know you can pump, but the stress affects your caregiving ability also. Who benefits then?
Good answer, Jerry. Good answer.
Yeah, I think we agree with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So then we asked her, why didn't you love us enough to breastfeed us? Laughy face, obviously sarcasm.
Because I was obviously joking because I just wanted to piss her off a little bit. So she said, okay, her answer is so good, guys. She really flipped it on me.
You need to read it in her tone, though.
I'm trying. I feel like I can imagine how she would say it. So she said, I loved you enough to share you, kept me sane, and I wasn't cranky. So you benefited. No? I was able to go right back to work and took you with me. Bridget was colicky and needed very expensive formula. Breastfeeding would not have made a difference. I believe the question is the problem, not the answer. That's why the perception is wrong. Am I a bad mother because I chose not to? Either choice is 100% correct. You all were loved by many and were very independent from the beginning because you knew you would be fed and cared for intuitively from any family member. Makes for a calmer, more well-adjusted baby and toddler. Arguments can be made both ways. I thought her answer was so good because she's basically saying that like we knew that we could go to anyone for the milk then for the formula. It's not just like mom.
No, I agree. But that's also why I got into that guy's van and was kidnapped. So
I'm sorry, what?
No. Why did you take that so seriously? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You're like, you feed me?
I would go anywhere for food, guys. I still do. You got food on me.
That's so...
listen, I would have followed Ted Bundy anywhere if he offered me some food.
Oh my God, that's funny. You fooled me.
No, you just got so concerned. You were like, is this a deep, dark family secret?
I know. I was like, did you go for a ride around the block with a fucking psycho?
Yep. All for some cookies and milk.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I was just picking at her answer, but no, I thought it was a great answer. I'm just kidding.
I know, no, it was a good answer. I was impressed. She really did some like reverse psychology on me. Anyway.
Yeah. So then we asked her, how do you feel about breastfeeding in public?
Sorry, I'm laughing now. Try to keep it private. Use rooms or blankets or covers of some sort. After a certain age, not at all. Like over 1 year old. But parents' choice. I'm not uncomfortable for myself. More for the mom and not being able to offer her help. They're almost 20 pounds, if not larger, and 26 inches. Tough to do. They should be on solids anyway. Even the bottle and pacifier should be gone by 1. My opinion only. No judgment, but they do have teeth and you want them to grow incorrectly. My mom's rules, LOL.
I agree. Again, no, I swear I'm not judging you guys, but when I do see the pacifiers past a certain age, I'm like, come on. Take it away. You're just doing it for yourself.
I think the longer you wait, though, the harder it's going to be because they're older, they're stronger, they understand more, and they can be like, no, I want it. Whereas if you take it when they're a baby, they get over it. They forget. They don't have long-term memory by then. They literally 2 days later will forget there was ever a pacifier.
Honestly. Or you could get, hopefully most of you get lucky as me, and my second didn't want one ever. She actually was more colicky with it. So when one night we were like, let's test this theory, and we took it away from her, and I want to say this was under 3 months of having her home. So really early on. And we took it away and she was better. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah, you can, with colicky babies, they can suck air with the pacifier and it makes them gassier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she hated it. And, as a true people-pleasing form, I took it away from Jack, maybe 6 or 7 months old, and he did not. He was like, whatever you want, mommy. Sparkles eyes. I'm like, okay, cool.
That kid is a dream. He's a
I
psycho, but
know.
he's a dream.
Yeah. Yes, yes, equally both parts. Funny. So then we asked her one more question, and it's how do you feel about women who preach the gospel of breast milk and judge those who use formula?
Shut up and mind your own business. Take care of your way. You don't know how or why, which way was chosen, or the amount of discussion that went into it. The guilt is unnecessary. Maybe there was a medical reason, maybe an adoption. Walk in my shoes before you cast judgment. Maybe you just need a purpose, volunteer, or get a job. If you know so much, why are you not more inclusive of others' choices? You aren't imperfect either. I have no patience for these people. Go world hunger.
We're really starting to see Jerry's personality shine now as these go on. This is a great answer.
Go
But this is
solve world
exactly
hunger.
go solve world hunger. Get out of here.
I like that answer because she's saying it's like you don't know what effort someone went through. Maybe someone tried and could not, and they are at their wits' end. They might be on antidepressants because of this. And now you're
Mhm.
going, "Oh, have you tried breastfeeding?" And you're like, "I could strangle you."
I love when she said, "Go volunteer and get a job."
Yeah, volunteer, get a job.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with her there. We should not judge others. Whatever you choose to do, that is best. I don't know what's going on in your personal life or medical issues, and it's not my place, to be honest. And you do you.
Yeah, completely agree. Before we sign off, I have one more anecdote.
Mhm.
So I had a woman on the ward who like we thought I think she had like a blood clot or something. So when you are pregnant or breastfeeding, you don't get the normal oral tablet that is anti-clots. You get like injections. And that's because you can't have the apixaban if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. It's dangerous for baby. So this woman was like, she just had gave birth, and I was like, oh, she is going on these injections, blah blah. Blah. And I can't even remember the full context, but basically the breastfeeding midwife was on that day, and she was like, oh well. Because the woman was like, I won't breastfeed. I want the tablets. I don't want the injections. And I said, that's fine. You're not pregnant anymore. As long as you definitely don't breastfeed, you can take the tablets. And so I was prescribing them. And this breastfeeding midwife was like, oh, so she's just not going to breastfeed? And I was like, I counseled her. She said she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to inject herself for the next 3 months. She'd rather be on an oral tablet. It's fine. And she was like, so this is more important than breastfeeding? And I said, her not dying of a blood clot? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That is more important than her breastfeeding. And it just pissed me off and it put me in such a mood because I was just like, I'm sorry. I know you're the infant feeding midwife and you think it's so important, but like at the end of the day, we're treating her blood clot and her baby will be fed with formula. So everybody wins.
Yeah, see, for me, that's going too far. That woman went too far to assume like that was more important. And that's where I feel like people are pushing their own opinions and agendas. And then I get annoyed. Then I'm like, okay, stop, please.
Yeah, it really pissed me off, put me in such a sour mood. But whatever, done with that now. I just feel like I would leave you all on that note.
Leave you all angered and pissed off at this stranger.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. As always, please like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube at Psychotic PY Podcast. It's the same for Instagram, Psychotic PY Podcast. And thank you, as always, for listening in and being so patient with us as we do adjust and have some weeks off due to our schedules. Or, like I said, Bridget coming here, which will be great because then we can start doing the video podcasting for you guys. Super excited. But really, until she gets here, it's going to be an adjustment. And then even when she gives birth, it will probably be another adjustment. So thank you for always bearing with us and being such great followers. We love you all.
Yes, we absolutely do. Let us know what you think about breastfeeding. If you have any funny stories, if you were a formula baby, let us know, please. Honestly, like give us some comments on Instagram or on YouTube, and we will incorporate your stories next week or in 2 weeks.
Yes. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.